Hi guys, on today's episode of TNT Garage, we're going to pull the TPI and 700 out of this car. Maybe I'll get the time. I'm kind of got other stuff to do today. I'd like to get the 350 and that 4L80, get the transfer case knocked off, get it thrown in the back of the truck, and just get the thing to grease so we don't have to mess around with completely getting filthy. But, you know, with this swap, I can just hear guys, and actually someone told me once, well, why don't you do an LS swap? It's easier. Well, because money. Not that I don't want to spend the money. I already have that motor. And I can hear some of you guys going, well, yeah, but the small block Chevy, the SB1, that's a dinosaur. That's a fossil. The LS has the best heads and the best crank, and you can run 1,000 horsepower because the LS is the greatest motor in the world. True. You got me there. However, even though a set of aftermarket LS heads can flow as well as a big block head, that's great. But do you need that much flow to make 350 horsepower? No. That's why it's not easier for me to LS this, because then I need headers. Well, different headers. Need motor mounts. I need some way to run it. So if I'm going to use the factory computer and all that, I still got to tune the computer with the L31 to get rid of security and HER and all that. So that cost, you know, wipes out. So you have fuel injection. Or, say you want to run a carburetor. Well, on that, I get an intake and a carburetor, a cheap HEI distributor, and a fuel pressure regulator. That's it. It's fairly cheap. Mine, you know, in retrospect to all things. However, with an LS, if you're going to carburate it, you got to get the LS carbureted intake. Still got to get the carburetor, still got to get the fuel pressure regulator. Then, if you want to run the crank trigger ignition, which who's going to put a distributor on one to make it look like a Ford, then you need the 6LS box, and you're snowballing up and up and up. And cost-wise, a 4.8 or 5.3 is going to cost you $350 to $500. A 6-liter, which I don't know why they cost so much, is going to be $850 plus, usually. Don't quote me, but usually. Whereas the 350 I have came out of a truck that doesn't owe me anything. It's a 4-bolt main. It's got the best iron head for factory-wise on a small block. And the cam I want to put in it with the springs, retainers, and everything is going to be just shy of $700. And it's going to give me 325 to 350 horse. And the other benefit is, if you LS this car and you put all your money into that, you still have a 700 R4 behind it. And that's not going to cut the mustard, guys. I'm just saying, yes, they can be built to hold power. But in this situation, it's not worth putting the money in just to LS it. I have a 4L80. That's pretty much all I'm going to need up to 450, 500 horse in its current form. So I can put different motors in it. I can put a hotter small block in it. I can put a mild big block in it. I can put a decent LS in it, which I'm not going to do because this is budget. I have set aside $1,500 for this whole thing to get it out the door, running and driving, tuned, everything I want, exhaust. $1,500 to go from 195 horsepower to, say, conservatively 325 at the crank. That's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be just as fun as a guy that's an intake exhaust LS car, you know, in a 4th gen. Except, in my opinion, this is a better looking car. It handles just as good. It's lighter, and it's cheaper. So, you LS guys, yeah, you can rag me all you want for putting a old technology SB1 in it. But you might learn something along the way that anybody can do this project. And I will show you guys the wiring and the ins and outs of getting everything to work together. So we're going to have a fun, cheap, reliable vehicle that you can just go out and ram on. So with that being said, sorry for my preach session. Let's get to it. guys, here we are. Now this might look intimidating just because 80s technology. You got hoses and wires and all kinds of emission stuff everywhere. Ain't gonna be that bad. We're gonna go underneath. I'm just gonna cut the exhaust because I'm not gonna use any of that. We're gonna pull the rad out. Probably not gonna use these hoses. I'm gonna have to use different hoses, get the hoses out of the power steering box, and yeah, just get the wiring off to the side because I'm actually gonna try and keep the wiring off this motor in this car for the time being so I can sort out like the lights and all that and get rid of the engine harness. And that way I could tie the Vortec harness into it. But yeah, pull the motor mounts, pull the trans mount cross member, and really this should give me enough room with the radiator out. As long as I can get the oil pan over the K member, we can just ramp her up and out and finally have this god-awful, I mean, was great in its time. There's nothing else like it. But this awful, low-power, busted-ass motor out of here. So, we're going to go ahead to the hurry-up portion and get to it. Alright, well, we got the exhaust cut off and all that stuff done. We just need to, hopefully that just, yep, there we go, pop the shift cable out. If we can get her past the pan there. Come on. There we go. Get her back up in there. Now, the fun part is getting this cable out. It's got a couple tabs there, but I suppose I'll just pull a pan bolt and get that bracket off. I think that's all. Yeah, that's all it holds that are these two pan bolts. And then we just need to get the speedo cable out there. Trans mount, pull the bolts. And other than oil pressure sensor down here and pulling a drive shaft out, and maybe a couple small things like a ground, we can start pulling this motor. All right, I think we got pretty much everything. Let's get this thing, see if we can lift her out. Come on. Get out of your home. Whew. Let me grab another doohickey here. I don't know why these engines are so heavy. Like they're made out of cast iron or something. A little more leverage. So, we're having trouble clearing that mount over there. Wonder about the other side. Yeah, we could probably clear that. I'll go ahead and grab my bar and we'll go back to hurry up mode after I check down here. And yeah, we're gonna clear the K member with the oil pan, so we'll get back and go into super fast. Well, as you can see, we got her up and out. I'm actually going to stop right here for a second because I want the trans to drain in the pan. We're already making a mess. But everything did clear. If I wheel it forward, jack it up just a little bit higher, we'll be able to just get the whole thing out. I think I got all the non-essential wiring off of here to where we can just run that back. I don't think there's anything else on the back of the heads. I actually cut the old grounds on the back of the driver's side head because, well, we're not going to use them anyway with the engine harness. So there we go. We're almost got her free, and soon enough we'll be dropping that 350 in there with a nice cam and a 4L80. And the one thing I forgot to mention before is, since this is a budget build, the 4L80, I was looking at torque converters for them. So the cam I chose is like right on the limit. I think it's good from 1600 RPM up to 58. And the small block 4L80 converter in a 3/4 ton truck is supposed to stall at around 1800 RPM. But that's a heavy truck, so in this car, it's close enough. It's about the biggest cam I can go. It'll have a nice lope at idle, 110-degree lobe separation angle, right in that 500-inch lift. So should be a lot better than this old emissioned up turd with the world's worst exhaust manifolds. So we'll get this truck the rest of the way out and finish her up. Now, those of you who've been paying attention, I'm sure you're thinking, how is he going to get that motor slid out when that's on gravel? Well, here's the solution. We got ourselves a strap. It's going to go ahead and drop it on there and slowly pull it out. And then raise it up, slowly pull it out. Now, I'm going to say this once and one time only. Do not try this at home. Because if you do and you screw something up, you can't blame me, because I'm a moron. Done this before. So, watch our mirrors, especially our rear view. There we go. There. Got her jump a little bit. We'll jack her up some more. See, the big thing is we're fighting the clearance on the trans tunnel down there. Just, you can't raise her up only so high. So, yeah. Biggest thing, I guess, is going to be getting clearance. I suppose if I really wanted to, we could pick the front of the car up after we get it cleared so far and just drop the front of the car down. But we'll see how this goes. All right. Well, I suppose we'll go back to hurry up mode instead of you guys just watch me walk back and forth. Well, there we go. We got her out. All one shot. The only thing I wasn't counting on is we got some wires caught on the old dipstick, but that don't matter. We didn't tear anything up. Yeah, caught a little bit there, but that's no big deal. Considering the way we did this now, I know it's not the right way, but it got it done. And we didn't damage the car. I don't care about that engine. And we'll be all set to now go through this wiring harness, which will be the next video, and deal with the gauge cluster, because we're working on getting this one put up in there. So I know you guys are wondering, how the hell are you gonna do that? Well, you'll see, but it will work. And then we'll have everything works without anything being cobbled. I know watching these series of videos, it's like, You're going to do it without cobbling it? Yes, I am. And the only reason I do it this way is because I just want it done. And like pulling it out with the truck, you might have been thinking, oh God, it's going to fall over, destroy the car. No, like I said, I've done this a billion times. And, you know, it's just, it works. It really does work. So let's have one last look at the old turd. And one of these episodes, we'll go ahead and tear the top end off this motor just to see what happened and why it, you know, quit running. Well, it didn't quit running, but why it wasn't usable anymore. Now, before we end this video, I'm going to show you guys a couple things. So the length of a 700 R4 to the end of the tail shaft, from my perspective, is about 30.5 inches. Now this is a key thing here, is that on the 4L80, if I can get a good spot, we're at, all the way up against the motor there, we're at about 30 and, or 29 3/4, I think is what I saw there. Let me just double check. Yeah, 29 3/4 where the transfer case goes on. Now that adapter is about 1.5 inches, at least almost 2 inches. You know what that means? We can use the drive shaft out of the car. Now the beauty of that is, you know, I don't have to have a drive shaft made because they do make a 1350 U-joint, which is what the truck has, to a 1344 conversion U-joint. So that's where we're getting the budget stuff out of this. Yes, is it not the strongest? Absolutely. But when we're talking maybe 350 crank horsepower, we're not really going to have to worry about that joint because I'm not putting sticky tires on it and all that. So that's a little food for thought. Well, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's probably a little shorter. I haven't gone through editing it yet, but you know, just got what I wanted to get done today. I don't think I'm going to grab that L31 and 4L80 and go wash drop it. It's been a couple hours since I really started this video, and I kind of want to get out of here and go hang out with my son and do some of that stuff. So like I said, I hope you enjoyed this. If you think I'm a hack, great, because that's what I'm going for. Because once you see the end product, you will be surprised. So go ahead, like, share, subscribe, comment if you want. I'm Tyler from TNT Garage. You guys have a good one.